Oh god, that looked like a big one. I don't think he ever got it. Get out of there. What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in. We're covering the James River, and I slid my way into the top 5 this week, so I'm pretty excited. I got some good footage, but let's go ahead and get into it. I want to start by saying I spent the last week watching all of the invitational or the pro circuit event at the James last year that was about the same time as the tournament this past weekend. And I just want to point that out because that was huge for me. A lot of those guys were just sticking a topwater in their hand and going down the bank. So after watching that, I knew I needed to dial in some kind of topwater bite. My dad and I were going to get out and practice on Friday, so I rigged up every topwater you can think of. Buzzbait, whopper plopper, popper, frog. I even tried to throw a little fluke around on the surface because I had been getting some bites on that at Kerr a couple weeks prior, but I think that might have been sort of a blueback deal. But I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try it too, because obviously there's something going on with this topwater bite this time of year. And so we got out there to practice on Friday. We started in the Chick, and I got a couple blowups on topwater. We'd catch one every now and then on a drop shot, but then we left the Chick, ran up to some random creek, and we just got on this unreal topwater bite. That's all I'm gonna say about it. It was an unreal day. We probably caught 15 pounds, so which doesn't sound like that much, but we could pretty much just be like, let's look for this specific thing and hop from spot to spot and catch a 2+ pounder. The one thing I will say about it is that they were just in open water roaming. They weren't on anything specific structure wise, but there was a pattern, and a part of that pattern was that they were in open water. So Saturday morning comes around, and my boater and I make a long run to some big creek down south. I don't know if you guys know the name of it. I think it was something like Matawoman, or I don't know. You guys let me know if you know which one it is. It's that big one down by Williamsburg. But so we get in there, and we pull up to our first spot. I look left, there's pads, and then I look right, and it looks like it would be like the open river, but there's some trees in the water. So we must have been in some kind of gut with a little bit of a flat before it dropped back off into the channel. And so my boater starts fishing the left side with the pads, and it looks so good. Like, I wanted to cast over there, but just from practice, I was like, I have to make some casts over here. Like, just throw this popper up along the side of the trees. There's a couple pads every now and then, but for the most part, it was kind of just open. And, you know, I got the bites doing that the day before, so I was like, you know what, I just do it. So, couple casts in, I get a big blow up, get it in the boat. It's a little under 4 pounds. It'll be my biggest fish of the day right off the bat. Haven't even turned the GoPro on yet. And so I'm pretty stoked. We keep moving down the bank. Maybe 5 minutes later, this happens. Oh, he's barely hooked. Stay down, stay down. Thank you. It's funny because you can see me at the beginning, like, start to turn, like, oh, I want to cast over there by those pads. But then I was like, no, get back over there and cast back out there. And thankfully I did. I put that fish in the boat. It's a little under 3 pounds probably. So I've had an incredible start. Got tons of confidence. I'm like, I'm just gonna sling this topwater all day. And we keep working our way down the bank. I keep slinging it. He's fishing the pads, and we don't get any bites down that whole rest of the stretch. So we pick up the trolling motor, make a move, pull up to some more pads, and within maybe 5 minutes of this new stretch of pads, I'm throwing the frog up in the pads. I don't have my GoPro on, sadly, because this would have been a pretty cool one, but I'm throwing the frog up in the pads, and all of a sudden, doosh, like a huge blow up, and I hit him, pin him, and I'm fighting him to the boat, and I turn my GoPro on mid-fight because I'm like, oh my god, I got another, like, I got like a 5-pounder, and this is what happens.
Oh. No, you're good. Dude, I didn't even know these were in here. You catch a lot of them in the pads like that? Yeah, please.
So I don't know if you could see that clearly, but it was a big pickerel. I didn't even know they were in there. And my boater, who spends a lot of time out there in the jam, says he does not see them very often. So that was really random. If I weren't fishing a tournament, it would have been really fun. I would have actually really enjoyed that, but I was not excited to see those teeth pop up right there at the end. But anyways, we keep moving down the bank. My boater's been aggressively fishing the pads the whole time. So we go down that bank for another 40 minutes. He doesn't get another bite, and neither do I. And I don't really have any choice but to fish the pads because it's kind of the pads and then the channel right behind us. So I decided I was going to use him as a gauge. And what I mean by that is I took a second and realized, all right, I've already got 2 good fish in the boat. The pad bite is not going off right now. The water's pretty high. It's overcast. It just wasn't the deal for, I don't know if that's the reason why, but it wasn't the deal at the given time. So I decided I'm just going to pull out a drop shot and pitch at the edge of the pads. The tide was starting to go out, so there was some current, and I like throwing a drop shot in that current, especially at the corners. You can pick up a fish every now and then. So I told myself I'm going to do that until he starts getting bites in the pads. So I do that for a little while, maybe another 30 minutes goes by, and I pitch up at the edge of the pads. It's kind of flowing down, and it stops. I set the hook, put him in the boat. It's probably a 1.5 pound fish. That's my 3rd keeper. So that was pretty good. We're only still like 1.5 hours, maybe 2 hours in. I've already got 3 keepers and 2 good ones. So a little while after I catch that fish, he makes another move to more of a pad field. By that I mean we can actually get into them and maneuver our way around in the pad field instead of just casting to them from the channel. And I just continue to pitch the drop shot around, pitch, 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 and I get another bite right here.
I think it's a short. Yeah, you might be close. What is it, 12?
So that fish ends up just barely measuring. I'm still super excited about it. I know on the drive to the ramp that morning, I told myself, don't forget about the drop shot and don't forget about how important it is just to put keepers in the boat. Because at the end of the day, getting 5 fish instead of having 4 is a big difference, whether it's a 12-incher or, you know, whatever, a 2-pounder. I mean, that is straight to the bottom line. So I'm happy about that 12-incher. I got 4 in the boat. My boater still has none while fishing aggressively in the pads. So we go another 30 minutes without a bite, but you can see that the tide is starting to drop out. And all of a sudden, something just switched. He makes a cast out in the middle of the thick pads and puts like a 4.5 pounder in the boat. Another 15 minutes goes by and he gets hooked up with another good fish. It's probably about a 2.5 pounder. He's reeling it in, he gets it close to the boat, and I stick the net down into the water just as he goes to lift up, and it hits the handle of the net, the hook comes out, and it gets away. And so that could have turned the whole day around right there. And this is huge props to him. He's only got 1 fish. I've already got 4. I'm sure that was already somewhat frustrating for him. And then to have your co-angler kind of blow it for you like that. He could have been really frustrated with me, and I was frustrated with myself, but he was totally cool about it. He was like, you know what, it's fishing, that's what happens, like we're good. Like it was like nothing happened. I've never seen someone handle losing a fish that well, especially when it wasn't even totally his fault. And so I just wanted to throw that out there that, you know, I'm so thankful to have the boaters I've had this year because they've all been great. But this was just another example of having a boater that it's just a really great dude. And so I really appreciated that. And the rest of the day continued to be fun. He never brought it back up. I said, I apologize maybe 3 more times throughout the day, and he just acted like I didn't even say anything. So he was great about that. So anyways, we continued fishing, and you know, he just starts getting on a little bit of a roll. He starts putting some fish in the boat. And so that's where I start mixing in fishing the pads, but I'm still throwing a drop shot because I'm like, you know, let me just make sure I get to my 5 and then I can start fishing for bigger fish. So we keep moving along. I don't really know where he caught a few in there in between. I want to say he didn't quite have his limit at this point yet, but I pull out the drop shot, pitch it at the end of the pads, and put my 5th keeper in the boat. It's another maybe 1.75 pounds. Good fish, not a line burner. So I've only got that 1 line burner in there, and at this point I'm like, all right, he's been getting bites in the pads. Typically he's getting better bites than I'm getting on the drop shot. So I'm just gonna stick a frog in my hand behind him and see if I can get one to come up, get a big one, and try to put this thing away. Or at least, you know, catapult myself up into that top 5 conversation. Maybe 30 minutes goes by and I get myself an opportunity at one.
Oh god, that looked like a big one. I don't think he ever got it. Get out of there. Can you back up? There he goes. Oh, thank you.
And so I got that fish in the boat on the frog, which is pretty awesome because I've never weighed in a fish on a frog, and I don't think I've ever been on the boat with anyone that's weighed in a fish on a frog. So that was pretty exciting, honestly. Even though it was only like a 2-pounder, it might have upgraded a little over a pound, which was still a big deal. I mean, in big tournaments like that, a pound jumps you, especially as a coing, that's going to jump you a lot of spots. And just to talk about that frog a little bit, it's nothing special, honestly. I was just throwing kind of a smaller frog because, you know, I'm a co, so usually I'm fishing behind people. I'm going to try to throw something a little more finesse. It was just this little pad crasher. Let me bring this guy up here for you guys. You can see that it's absolutely destroyed from that pickerel. I'm surprised it even lasted long enough to fish for that bass. But if you guys see, from a total non-frog expert, a little tip. If you trim the tails unevenly like that, you can actually walk it a little better. So like if you're reeling it over the pads and then it hops into a little hole, you could walk it in place in that little hole. Especially if you cut it like that, it actually makes a big difference. So just a little tip for you guys from a one fish weighed in frog guy. I just want to take a second to throw a little plug in there. I really appreciate you guys watching the videos, and if you guys are enjoying the content, please like and subscribe. You know, I'm trying to give you guys as much info as I can, and be an open book, and I enjoy making the videos. So if you guys enjoy it, again, please like and subscribe. It's really cool for me if you do. So shortly after I put that fish in the boat, we start working our way back up the river because we got a long way back to the ramp, and he just was like, we're gonna hit a thing here and there as we work our way back up. And so we hit a couple things. We're not getting any bites at all. It was like pretty dead on the main river, it seemed like. And so we started making a longer run, like maybe we had been running for 20 minutes straight. And he's like, let's pull over for a second, fish this dock because I want to let the live wells recirculate and get these fish some oxygen. So we pull over to this little dock, it's just random. He throws up under it, hooks into like a 4-pounder, puts it in the boat. And so I was joking with him, like, yeah, you're filtering out the water back there. But yeah, he puts that big fish in the boat, and we keep working our way up the river. We stop somewhere else right before the ramp. He catches 2 more shorts. or they might have been keepers, but he had 5, and then none of his were below. They were probably all like 13 inches plus. So he didn't need them. And that was it. We went back to weigh in. I weighed in 11 pounds, 12 ounces. That got me in 5th place, which was awesome. Another top 10, and a 5th slides you into that trophy spot. So, you know, I love to get those trophies. So that's all I have for the James this past weekend. It was a good event. Lots of topwater bites, always fun. And I will be getting ready for the next event at the James on July 22nd. So it's a little bit of a layoff. I'd imagine it's possible some of you guys are fishing that event in July. So if you are, good luck. I'll probably see you out there. If you see me, come say what's up. And yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. And I will see you guys after the James event in July.